and record. Check it's recording. We are recording. Yes, okay. And I minimized the camera so I don't have to look at myself the whole time. I've done my hair in advance. I think it looks okay. So I don't have to keep goofing around with it while I'm talking to you. So yeah, I've just put an inspirational picture there, so I'll just look at that and I'll visualize all my lovely friends out there in Space Cadet Land, all my beautiful wizards and dancing fairies and pixies. So how you doing, y'all? I'm good. So yeah, my hair, see? I just leave it alone so I can talk to you all. Otherwise it's just vain. Don't want to come across as insecure or silly. Silliness is okay. That's good. I don't know how to introduce a video. So Magenta's busy today. She's helping her son out with some admin stuff. So I thought I'd come on and say cheery hi to you all. So yeah, let's talk about hair. So in the last video I did, admittedly I was a bit scruffy looking back on that, but that was an off-the-cuff video. But I'm a man, that's my privilege as a man. Sometimes I can be a scruffy rogue, other times like sophisticated and noble vampire. But I'm a hippie. What you gonna do? It's this is part of the outfit. I'm still not sure about the facial hair, you know. You get to a certain point in your life as a guy, you play with different things with facial hair. I don't want to go full ZZ Top, but I don't know. I was kind of going for like a Lord of the Rings kind of warrior kind of guy. So yeah, who am I kidding? Okay, so let's see now. What did I want to talk about? Whilst we're talking about hair though, this is funny. A little while back we were in like a shopping mall, and there was this salon, waxing salon, a unisex waxing salon. Just kind of walked by it, but then I noticed there was this poster outside, and it had this image of this big muscly guy, and he was emerging from a swimming pool, and he was all shiny and lovely, like he was made of plastic, and his body, his chest was completely hairless. I don't know about the rest of him, but he had like crew cut hair, no facial hair, you know, just eyebrows, completely smooth and shiny and glistening. This Adonis, this Greek god of a man. And it said, I mean, if you want to talk about mind control statements, this was a very definitive statement. It just said in big bold letters, "Real men wax." Real men wax. Wow. When did that become a thing? I mean, if you wanna wax your body or do, you know, wear different hairstyles or colour your hair or put on makeup, that's all cool, but that's a definitive statement. Real men wax. So what? I don't know what I am. Real men wax? Do they? I must have missed that. When did that become a thing? Okay. So what's the opposite of real men wax? Fake women grow a beard? I don't even know. I don't know. Let's not get into that. That's too weird. Anyway, real men wax apparently. So there you go. Okay. So talking about wow. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to jump on and just talk about not my definitive opinions, because how can any opinion, it is just, that's it, it's an opinion. You want to make a definitive statement about something, I'm not going to do that. I like to bounce ideas around, that's healthy. Listen to both sides of a topic and figure it out. Listen to everybody's got something good to say. I wanted to talk about some of my observations and experiences regarding certain things that can happen to women and certain things that can happen to men in the spiritual community once you get into being interested in the esoteric, the spiritual, the religious realm. I've never really resonated with the term New Age simply because it's too non-specific. It's an umbrella term, and it encapsulates many things. I mean, if you look at the origins of the New Age as a term, there's certain characteristics which that embodies, certain interests in, I don't know, things like chakras and Reiki and earth energies, what have you. But within that, those are different branches of interest. So I've never really resonated with the term New Age because, and it's almost become, strangely, recently, I don't know, for a while now, almost a slur term to say, oh, that's New Age, and it's like it's something you can even quantify. I don't think you can really class somebody as New Age, because it's like if you insulted somebody for being New Age, said, oh, you're rainbows and unicorns. If you shout that at somebody, it's not even really derogatory. It's like, oh, you love rainbows and unicorns. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, rainbows and unicorns are cool. Oh, you're just New Age. Oh, when you break wind, a rainbow comes out. Oh, okay, all right, that's interesting. Thank you for that. That's quite fun. And it's like, when do you define somebody as New Age? As I say, I've never really cared for the term. There's various terms I don't like, and people have disagreed with me on this. I don't especially like the term light worker, because I think it sounds, I mean, this is just me. Other people's interpretation may be different, but to me it sounds a little bit elitist and a tiny bit puffed up. But some people might completely disagree with me. I tried to mention this at a talk a couple of years ago. Magenta was nudging me to explore this question with the speaker, and I was like, as soon as I say this to her, she's going to get insulted. And I stupidly, I said it just the way I said it to you. So I don't especially care for it. I know what it means. I know what it's supposed to represent, a certain person of a certain, I don't know, vibration, what have you. But I didn't like it, and I tried to explore this because I thought it'd be an interesting thing to discuss for the whole little group who was there. But no, you could see this woman was affronted, and I didn't want to do that. So it's not a term I especially dig, and I don't especially dig the word New Age. It's spiritual. The spiritual, and I don't really like the word movement either, because that makes it sound like it's an advancing army. So I'd prefer to say something just like spiritual community. And it's like, if anybody's attacking the New Age, it's like, oh, are you? Oh, a missile's coming in, this person's attacking the New Age. It's like, oh, okay. Are we New Age? I don't even know. What, we New Age? Oh, okay. Oh, according to their definition, we're New Age. Therefore, we're a target. I don't know. And the crazy thing here is, I've kind of gone through this in a respectful way myself, but I kept it to myself. I've, to be honest with you, I've met as many genuine, lovely people in the spiritual community as I have phonies and crackpots and egomaniacs. But then you can find those people in any walk of life, any tradition, any discipline. And there has been times where I've grown cynical with the whole thing. And I have actually read some fantastic books, not exposing or shaming people, but it's more like an intelligent breakdown of points and looking at various things which can come into play in a person's psychology and society. It looks to the 1960s. I mean, because the term New Age, when it breaks down to it, when you break it down, it simply means like a renaissance. A resurgence of thought and tradition, because of course the New Age is made up of many component parts. I'm using the word New Age just for convenience, and lots of things can be encapsulated within that umbrella term, but it's not really one thing or the other. So to attack or out the New Age, you're kind of honing in and zooming in on something which doesn't necessarily even exist anywhere except in your own head. And bizarrely, some of the people over the years who I found have a problem with the New Age, strange thing is they seem to be working in the same areas. You look on their websites, they offer these therapies which I would term as New Age or semi-New Age, but like I say, it's not even a specific or a derogatory term to me. It's like going into a restaurant and saying, "All of you people, you're eating food." Oh yeah. Well, you're all in a cult. You must be in a cult because you're doing the same thing. But within that, there's people eating different things on different tables, and it's like, what's your point, buddy? Well, you're all here together, so it's a cult. And this is the thing with men and women, that there do seem to be different things when women go onto a spiritual path, and things that can happen to men, strange things, when maybe some things can go out of whack, out of balance. And this isn't meant to be a criticism. It's meant to be a respectful recognition of not anything I think, but what I've observed, what my experience is, what I've come across. And I've been around this stuff for a while, you know, my own interests, and through Magenta, and we've gone to talks and met people. We've met lots of different people, and most of the time these are people who are drawn to it because, like any human being, they're seeking that divine spark. They're seeking to connect with people, to refine themselves, to access that magic in the universe, which we all know is there, but we need a little help along the way to access that, bring it into our lives in a practical way. It's a beautiful thing. It's the thing which has driven humans forever. The tricky part is, regarding anything spiritual, it's something which can never be definitively kind of quantified, at least not on this side of reality. And this is why a lot of people can either completely turn away from spirituality or religion, or get crazy with it. And it's just human nature, what we do with information. And as something as undefinable as spirituality, or the various practices within it, it's understandable that this can be tormenting and troubling for people. And this isn't to downplay at all the role that mental illness and anxiety and neurosis can contribute and maybe be exacerbated by these experiences. I've had friends in the past who have completely turned away from this stuff because it just doesn't sit right with them, or it gets into their head and they obsess about it. And I think maybe that's part of the journey anyway. I mean, I can't think of one person who I ever knew had a completely peaceful existence within spirituality. They can have an awakening, they can have moments of bliss and joy, but invariably there's that torment, that questioning, that anxiety as you search, because it's like once you maybe open up to that realm, you can't get off that ride. And sometimes you can forget to just enjoy being here. Enjoy being here in 3D. That's another thing. It's almost become like an insult. Oh, that's so 3D. So 3D, such a 3D person. I don't know about you, sometimes I think it would be easier in a way to be a bit 3D sometimes. It seems more peaceful, more predictable in a way, who knows. So I've had friends who've had problems, psychological problems, because they've got too into this stuff, and then sometimes they can go completely the other way and reject it and get cross and angry about it. Now, what I was going to talk about, my experiences of the strange things that can happen to women and the strange things that can happen to men in the spiritual community. And like I say, this is just my observations. I'm not making a definitive statement here. Can't be doing with definitive statements on the way things are. We can all bounce ideas around, put them in a melting pot, compare notes, See what's going on here. We are all on the same crazy magic carpet ride. We don't need to be arguing about the colour of the carpet. Let's all weave in our own bit of tapestry, throwing a symbol here and there. Okay. The symbols. Okay. So with women, certain women I've come across in the spiritual community, they can, and this goes across the genders. They start off with an awakening, and it's all love and goodness and wanting to learn and reach out and connect with people. But there does seem to be a tendency among some women, not all women, not making a generalization. It's almost like this queen bee kind of thing comes into their head, and it's like they want to be the matriarch. They want to be the advisor, the earth goddess, and they can become quite standoffish and inaccessible to men. They're just and often there can be this almost like I need to be careful here. This residue of hatred towards men, because they can take it too far. With they're looking at the repression of the female by the men, and they can project it outwards. Oftentimes, if you actually speak to them, you'll find that they had a traumatic relationship. Like, who hasn't? But it's almost like they've got a slight vendetta against men in general. And with women, you'd think, well, that doesn't work, because surely they'd be more. They'd want to embrace their sisters. But oftentimes it goes strange. It's hard for me to really explain. If you've come across it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You can recognise it straight away with certain women. They want to be the central point amongst all their other women. And if you go to one of their talks, they do seem to be a bit puffed up, which is a shame. And also, they tend to develop their own mythology over and over and over again. And if you pay attention, you can actually see it, because you'll look at their work from a while back, and then you'll look at their work, more in the more present time, and they've developed their own mythology over and over again, almost like they're trying to enrich it and make it more complicated and more intelligent, and they're trying to bring in more and more divine things which may or may not have happened to them, teachings that they've refined, and I think they can just roll with it over and over and over again. And if you challenge them, you'll know about it. I've seen it a few times, and I mean, you could argue, oh, that's your issue. You've come across these women and you felt intimidated. You're picking up on something not in them but in yourself. Sure, I might be completely wrong. I'm just saying this is what I've found. So that's women. With men, something slightly different happens. With some men, okay? But I've seen it more than once, which is why I can detect a pattern. But like I say, most guys I've met, fantastic, lovely guys. Okay? Maybe I'm talking about this. You could be thinking, dude, you're talking about yourself there. Who knows? So with men, and this is what it's almost worse in a way. Oh, there's my putty cat. Hey, buddy, Jasper. With men, they can become incredibly dominant, to the point where they want to dominate everyone, and they want their teachings to be the only thing that you should really look at. They become suspicious and cynical of anybody who does not complement what they're trying to broadcast. They become very solidified in their own ideas and their own particular modalities, what have you. you'll know these guys because you'll go somewhere and you'll be introduced to them, and they will shake your hand. They will crush your hand if you're another guy, because they're trying to assert it right from the outset. Crush your hand and be dominant, and you're there wincing, like smiling at them, and they're looking into you. They're looking deep into your soul because they're trying to quantify, you know, like, and they're letting you know they are the alpha male. They are the silverback gorilla in this room. And then with women, they can have this thing where they have to subtly almost send out this message, this aura of you're all my women, you're in my space, so for now you're my women. And they will hug the women, and they will hold that hug slightly too long, so the women can't necessarily completely detect that they're being creepy. Because obviously when you're at a New Age fair or a New Age camp, what have you, you accept that to a degree. You want to connect with people. You want to hug them, dance around, be really hippy-dippy. It's all good. But it can also be the breeding ground for abuse of male power. I think that's the thing. Men are more prone to use their male power in a potentially abusive and unjust way over other men and other women. Over other men and women. Whereas the women can still bounce around and have fun with their sisters, but it's like behind the scenes they will be like, they'll be seething that someone else has stepped onto their turf or presumed to correct them about their chakra teachings, what have you. See, that's another thing. It's almost become like a thing, like in the New Age. I've never especially resonated with the whole chakras thing, and I think that's controversial. Isn't that like a staple? But I've never really got into it. But then I'll admit I haven't really studied it. It doesn't especially appeal to me, the whole chakra thing. But that's not to say that I'm gonna shut it down either, because I could meet someone who just gives me some great teachings and insight. Oftentimes, if you've got a really good teacher, you develop a keen interest in all these different things which before were kind of in the background of your mind. So with me, I've never really got into the chakra thing. I've met people before, and they will just instantly start reading your chakras and clearing them and cleansing them and spinning them, and you have to sit there pretending that something's happening. And like I say, it's not me being silly or comical, because I simply don't know enough about it to make a definitive statement either way. I'm a Christian, and the more I learn about Christianity, the more I want to learn. But I like the really obscure Gnostic traditions and the deep mystical sides of Christianity. And I could meet some Christians, and they'd probably think I was too New Age. I can meet New Age people and they think I'm too Christian, but that's my navigation system. And I feel like if I've got my grounding in Christianity, I can go anywhere. I can explore all these different traditions without fear and without judgment, because I could learn some great stuff, and I'm not going to like pass it through some filter and say I'm going to reject that idea and accept this one automatically because I'm a Christian. Because like I say, I like the really obscure stuff. If you read, there's a collection of texts called the Nag Hammadi Scriptures, and there's one called the Cloud of Unknowing. There's a whole bunch of really obscure Christian stuff, and you could give it to most Christians and they go, oh, that's New Age weird stuff. And you go, well, no, that was written in the medieval era. This was written like in the early period of the church, like 300 AD or something. So this stuff was written before any of us was here. So I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to consider it. And that's another point. We've got friends. We've got friends in this spiritual community who are vehemently, that's how you say it, vehemently. They're very anti-Christian, and they will do shows and talks about it and things. But I'm not cross with these people, because at the end of it, they're respectful, and they're not trying to actually tell you this is the way you should be thinking. I think that's the most dangerous thing, when you tell people you should be thinking this. This teacher's wrong, that teacher's right. I'm right. I know I'm right because I gave myself an award and I put on my website that I'm an expert, and I'm correct and you're wrong. I would never want to do that, and that's the only thing which puts me off with certain teachers. I will listen to anybody's discourse and breakdown of all the strange things which can happen in Christianity. Everybody knows this. With all the battles amongst all the denominations, and all the interpretations and misinterpretations of the Bible, and the political motivations of the church, and all the strange things that's happened with the darker side of Catholicism. But that doesn't mean that the core teachings and the origin isn't sound, because these texts and stories from human beings who had divine experiences and divine insights way before any of us were here. So I'm not gonna reject something because of what human religion has done to subvert and warp it, because that would be like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's like throwing the monkey out with the banana skin. There, I just made a new metaphor. So I love Christianity, and the more I learn, the more I want to learn. And it wasn't that I was raised a Christian. My mum was a Sunday school teacher, but it's very much in the background. She never really forced it on me, and in a way I wish like she was still around, because now I could sort of bounce some ideas off her and learn more about it. So yeah, I went to Sunday school, but it wasn't really a massive feature of my childhood. It's only in the last like 6-7 years I've really got into this stuff. But the thing is, this is what for me has made it so special. And I've heard this said by somebody before. I can't remember the quote on off pat, I'm paraphrasing, but the quote was, I wish I could remember who it was as well, that would make it seem more intelligent, that with many spiritual traditions, it's mankind looking for a connection with God. With Christianity, it was God seeking that connection with mankind, as in a human body was inhabited by the Spirit of God. Now we can talk about that forever. We can debate it. Did it happen? Was it metaphor? If you look at older stories, there seems to be traditions which closely resemble the story of Jesus. And I can't put that in your heart unless you've had a personal experience. I'm only giving you a testimony. If I could give you my personal experience and put it in your head and you could literally see it and feel it, it would make more sense. And the same with you. You could have had things like Kundalini awakening. That's the thing. I can't really envisage or quantify what that is or what that feels like. Although I've heard many testimonies, and it sounds fantastic and wonderful. And we might actually find that we're all using different terms to describe the same things. So, although saying that there was a guy who had a Kundalini awakening. I was watching a video of his the other day, and he actually seemed like kind of a mean guy. So I'm not really sure how that happens. But like I say, it's this is the other point. I think early on, when I started to get into spirituality, and I did literally live in the New Age section of my local bookshop in my 20s. In my 20s, not in the 1920s. Hey, we're in the 20s now, aren't we? Wow, imagine that, 20s. Da 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 da, like the 1920s flapping. Da da da, yeah. And I had this misconception, and I've learned this the hard way. I thought all these people who are writing these books and running these classes and making these films, it must be a given that they're good, lovely people, because they've got magical ability, seemingly a magical ability and insight. And like I say, like I was talking about earlier, I've met so many men and women who, yes, they do seem to have a gift, they've developed their craft, what have you, but somewhere along the way they've forgotten to be just nice people. And you can have that power, but if you don't wear it with humility and a desire to pass on that spark to other people so they can come alive and they can access the same thing, you know, I think it's the human being in us all. We can become puffed up, and we want to be celebrated. We want to be seen to be spiritual. Crazy thing, you see all these pictures of people doing yoga, and obviously they're proud of their body and they want to show it off. But I think you just know when you're around a person who's just wanting to be of service and inspire you. But sometimes you can look at these people and they're flashing so many teeth when they smile, and you think when they turn off the camera, they probably go and yell at their partner about something. I don't know. Like I say, maybe I'm just projecting silly ideas in my head which are based on nothing. But this is the other point I wanted to make. Now, there's people in the spiritual community online who I got to admit, I'm not going to mince words, they creep me out completely. And I've discussed it with Magenta. There's 4 people. I'm never going to mention them because that's not my style. I'm not going to go out outing people or making a website, talking about them, doing silly little review videos, because these aren't bad people. There's something there which doesn't match with me, but here's the difference. I'm willing to admit that I could be completely wrong about them. I don't feel like I am right now because I think my intuition and my psychology that I've developed through exposure to this stuff, I can actually recognise things that are phony, things that are genuine, things that I can use, and things which are potentially deceptive and misleading. So there's 4 people, and sometimes Magenta will be watching them and I say, can you please turn that off? I don't want to hear that person right now. But I would never punk them out in a million years because I could be wrong. And the other thing is, they might know people who we might work with in the future. So I'd be shooting myself in the foot. And I've also got a question. If they irritate me, if they creep me out, if they just make me feel anxious, of course you've got to keep looking. Is that something they're triggering in me, or am I picking up something genuine? Oftentimes it's an interplay between the two. So I'm not going to make a definitive statement about any practitioner ever, and that's because, like I say, there's 4 people. I don't want to tease, but I'm never gonna call them out. I've met 2 of them in person, 2 of them just know about online, but I instantly felt a bad thing. But I'm not going to make silly statements like they're a reptilian, they're channeling the jinn, they're full of Nephilim, they're false light. See, these are accusations which bounce around all over the place, accusing people of spiritual crimes that they're not guilty of. It's crazy, it's not kind, it's not respectful, and it's not intelligent. If you want to talk about certain themes and certain things which can happen to people generally, fantastic, let's all figure this out. We're all human beings trying to work this crazy world out. We don't need to be arguing about the finer points of spirituality and then throw something into the mix as silly as like you're channeling demons, or you're a reptilian, or you're a shapeshifter, or you're a clone, or you're AI, because it just muddies the water. And there's so many more important things we could be uniting. We could be uniting on this and doing something good. It's so the wrong focus. I think maybe this is a symptom of like lockdown. People are in their houses all the time, and you haven't got that opportunity to bounce off of other people, go to a restaurant, go to a pub, go out for a walk, because sometimes you need to step away from the computer, step away from the endless barrage of opinions and news. And then you'll find once you've been out for a few hours, you come back and a big problem which seemed so elevated in your head about something you heard in the spiritual community, you can inflate it in your own mind until it becomes this big scary just globule of dark horrible energy in your chest. It go out and you reframe it, and it doesn't seem as important when you get back home, and then you can look at it for what it was. But if you're gonna like target people and implant onto them this template, this framework of your own hatred, I think a lot of times people can have a bad experience with one spiritual practitioner or an ex-partner or a friend who's betrayed them, and they can start superimposing that onto other people who remind them in some way. And it triggers them, and before you know it, they're looking everywhere for villains. They're looking everywhere for reptilians. They're looking everywhere for Nephilim. They're looking everywhere for false light. They're looking everywhere for mind control. They're getting hectic about what everybody is doing, and they feel like they've got a mission to expose them and tell everybody what they're up to, and it becomes a vendetta. It's like that play, The Crucible, the Salem witch trials. Little by little, the entire community are accusing each other of witchcraft and devil worship, and it's just gets out of hand. And the thing is, it's, you know, I can never prove to you that I'm a good guy. I can never disprove to you that I'm a good guy. I can never convince you that I'm a powerful wizard, and I cannot convince you necessarily that I'm not evil. I can't convince you of anything. Now, you can look at people who analyse body language. One of the worst things you can do if somebody's been punking you out, or your loved ones, don't look online for comments, because you're going to find something which upsets you. And sometimes you can think, well, that's just internet trolls. They're everywhere. They're always just looking for a reaction. They just want to upset you. Sometimes, every so often, sometimes you'll get a curveball, and it will hit you somewhere, and you think, wow, that's made me feel. I thought I was past that, and you feel like you're 12 years old again. And something can really throw you for days and make you feel quite tearful. And you think, I can't learn anything good from this. That's just mean. I can't bounce back from that. But something a friend taught me. It's a guy I've been talking to online. Lovely man named Nick from Cornwall. Hi, Nick. And he's a playwright. He's quite a famous playwright. I'm not name dropping. I'm not going to give his surname. I don't know if he'd be comfortable with that. But I was talking to him about these situations, and he gave some great advice that when somebody comes at you with accusations or I mean, he'd probably do a better job than me explaining it, but it's like when somebody comes at you and they're accusing you of something, or they're sending you venom, or you know they're just trying to take you down and be horrible. You let it come at you to a degree so you can learn about it. What is this cup of poison they're offering me? Maybe I'll take a sip. Oh, wow, oh my God, I never thought it'd be that bad. Put that aside. But then you can learn about it. How does that feel? How does that feel on my tongue? How does that feel in my body, in my mind? And then you can think, that's enough now, and you push it away. And when it comes at you again, when that same person comes at you, hey, have another little sip of my poison. You're like, no, you're good. You're good, I'm all right. Just put that aside. But of course, then they can sneak around the corner. They start to talk to your friends. I really don't know. I don't know the motivations of these people. Do I need to know? The only reason I need to know is to protect myself, protect my friends and family. Because obviously that's the human instinct. You want to take care of each other. The shame here is that oftentimes the people who will seek you out to take you down and criticise you, bizarrely, I don't know what this is about, they often have similar interests anyway. We've seen sarcastic and horrible, mean attacks from several people over the last few months. Unfortunately, they're in the minority because we've got an overwhelming amount of support and friends and that. And it's not just an echo chamber, because we're not all in the same disciplines. We're not in some cult. You can't just say, oh, Magenta knows this person, therefore she's in a cult with them. that person is friends with that person, therefore I've discredited Magenta because this guy said this weird things. Magenta isn't responsible for what any other person chooses to say or do on any of their channels. It's like, what's that about? And it's like, you find, oh, Magenta done an interview with so-and-so a while back, and these crazy people will start thinking, sorry, I don't want to say crazy, that's disrespectful, misguided, I don't know. They will say, they'll sit there and they're contemplating and they go, right, what's the conclusion here? Magenta knows this person stuck up for her, and she's gonna do an interview with that person in the future. Cult. It's a cult. I've uncovered a cult. And it's like, what? We've never even met these people in real life. We've barely spoken to them online. We've just set up like little interviews for like what would be interesting discussions and topics. We're in a cult now? How did we even get into this cult? I wouldn't even know how to start up a cult. I don't want to start a cult. It sounds exhausting. How am I going to arrange a cult? A Magenta Pixie cult? It sounds boring. I've got enough to do. I don't want to start no silly cult. Oh my goodness. Like, I mean, like, what? You got to organise meetings and initiation ceremonies? Women dancing skyclad in a thunderstorm? Let me just picture that. No cults. No cults. So, what to do here? Because I've got to be honest with you, I felt horrible over the last week or so. Diminished, weak, wanting to come on here and just share a few thoughts and observations, but I think there's so many people who've got great things to say and great things to share, but they can feel so intimidated and shy, and they never even get started. They procrastinate. They've got so many fantastic ideas, and they feel, oh, that one day I want to get my thoughts together and write that perfect book. I want to construct that perfect talk. If I could only get all my thoughts together into one place. Sometimes that's fantastic. You want to refine your work and make it just so before you release it to people, but I think it's just maybe it's just a pitfall of the creative mind. I'm not highlighting myself as a genius. I'm just trying to, you know, share some things that I've experienced. So the last few days I've wanted to do this video, and I just could never get into the right frame of mind. But then you can just mix yourself up, because you can never get into that right frame of mind, and then other things happen. Different things roll around in the media, on the news, in the spiritual community, the latest thing that's happening, and before you know it, all of your ideas have become obsolete, or you felt that different things have taken importance, other things have been relegated to the background, and you end up doing nothing, and then you just feel like, yeah, the weeks of your life, the years of your life are just going by, and you haven't got involved. That spark, you haven't shared it with anyone except yourself in your quieter moments. So even if you've got some disjointed ideas and thoughts, and, you know, even frustrations, anxieties, you know, you've got to put them out there, because we don't know how the world's going to turn out. Nobody truly does. Nobody truly saw all this stuff coming over the past year. We're in this weird time, and it sucks, man. It sucks, and it's beautiful at the same time. And the direction it's going to go, who knows? But if you're going to shoot people down on the way, how is that helpful? Oh, well, I'm exposing them. Are you? Or are you just making people feel bad? Of course we want to warn our brothers and sisters along the way of potential pitfalls, people or movements that might have nefarious aims. But with me, I haven't really come across anything that's truly sinister, except people who see sinister people everywhere. You can get so caught up in mind control theories that I think you've got to question Am I seeing mind control everywhere because I can't control my own mind? Just a thought, because I've got hectic about this stuff. Not to the point where I've put it out there publicly, but I've developed quite a keen interest in demonology and entity attachments and stuff like this. And the bizarre thing is, I've seen people who's attacking Magenta, and then me to a lesser degree, and they've got a keen interest in these same topics. I've seen, there was this person who was really into sacred sites and earth energies. There was a lady who was into stone circles, and I love all this stuff. I've studied and enthused about this stuff over the last few years. I've got so many books that I pore over and I delight in, and I love learning all these different stories. And to me, it all, like I say, my navigation system as a Christian, I feel like I can go everywhere and enjoy all of this stuff and bring it in and consider it. I'm not a person who's going to bring that in and say, well, that's not compatible with my tradition. The more I've learned, the more I'm willing to look at. I can handle criticism about Christianity. I can handle criticism about anything. And I'm not defensive when somebody says something which is inaccurate, because it doesn't trigger me. I'm just like, well, that's not true. That's wrong. You can't tell me that somebody has a reptilian in them or a demon. But one, because I've studied this quite extensively. I'm not going to say I'm an expert, but I've had a keen interest in this. I've learned that one of the most dominant entities that seems to be troubling modern humanity is the spirit of Jezebel. Jezebel, the Old Testament sorceress, magician. And it's about the subverted presentation of the feminine. And I've talked to people extensively about this. Last summer I was driving people crazy with it. They were just smiling and laughing. I was trying to offset it by being a bit kooky, but I felt it was important. But I've learned that demons and angels, what we call demons and angels, it's a vast ecosystem of different energies and disembodied spirits and that, and they can get into a person, they can have influence, they can lead people into different things. But more often than not, all the conditions need to be correct in order for these things to take hold in a person's life. If a person has a poor diet, if they're socially isolated, if they have certain traumas which they haven't resolved in themselves, substance abuse can be a thing, but not always, not even that often. You'd think, well, surely that must be a gateway. Not necessarily. It's more about the long-term things which have taken place in a person's life over the many years. More often than not, it is a sense of it's almost like a spiritual isolation. They're in this wilderness and other things have come in to replace it, or their entire experience of the world has been indirect, either through TV or over immersion in, just sitting online all day, sitting in a room on your own. Of course, even the most stoic, balanced person is going to go a bit crazy if their entire filter with the world is, oh, I'll learn everything I need to know from the internet and I don't need to directly connect with any other human being. And then, of course, this year you throw the weirdness into the mix, where it's not recommended that we're around people in gatherings and stuff like that. This is a ripe time for people to not only go a bit strange through their own psychology, their own existing mental challenges. Yes, of course, these things can come into play. And I do feel like I've become quite adept in recognizing genuine cases of what you would term as demon possession, entity possession, and it's concerning, but it often happens in more subtle ways than you would see in a movie or something. So I'm never going to be bouncing around. There's somebody online I disagree with. I'm not just going to sit back and go, yep, reptilian, shapeshifter. See it? See that? Their webcam glitch. You think their webcam glitched out because they had a poor internet connection? No, they're a shapeshifter. Look, let me pause that. Click, and you get a picture, and a person's face has gone all green and pixely. Like, conclusive proof. Shapeshifter. Or wow, I just saw an orb. Look, saw an orb. I saw an orb behind him. it's a whole interplay of things, you know. So I hope I eloquently spoke a few things there. I was just thinking about. As I said, I wanted to make this video for a while, but I was just beating myself up about it. So I'll play it back. Obviously, I'm going to submit it to Magenta, and she'll decide if it's good enough to be on the channel, what have you. But you know, thank you for your time. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. And let's not make this all tribal. Let's not make this about these disciplines are wrong and these disciplines are bad. We're all comparing notes here. We're all trying to figure it out somewhere along the way. We can get too caught up in personal bad feelings and you can just decide that people are villains when they're really not. We're all just trying to work it out together. There's a Pink Floyd song that occurs to me, and the lyrics go, how do they get there? So I open my door to my enemies, and I ask, could we wipe the slate clean? But they tell me to please just go and F myself. You know, you just can't win. So this is my respectful little video here, little discourse. I hope you had a good time. I hope I explained myself okay. There's a time for silliness, and there's a time for respectful sharing of ideas. So I hope I landed somewhere good, and you take something away from this. And like I said, I'm not trying to preach or teach, just trying to share a few observations and concerns and ideas. And you know, so have a good time. God bless you all. Thank you for your love and support, and I'll see you all soon.